How's it going, everyone? Haven't done a great job covering the PlayStation Store's New Year, New Deal sale, to be fair. So I am back with game deals under $10. We did do under 2 and under 5. Go check those videos out if you have yet to, but the sale is lasting for another couple of days, so let's get this under $10 video out. I'm sure there will be a lot of comments being like, oh, and all these games. Well, guess what? There's people out there that don't. There's people out there that are still on their PS4, so deal with it. With that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with Judgment. Great way to start off any video of mine by glazing RGG for a little bit. The PS4 version is $7.49, while the PS5 version is $9.99. Judgment, to me, is probably the best gateway title into the RGG games, just because a lot of people will say Yakuza 0. Yes, that's great. Yakuza 0 is awesome. However, it doesn't have English voice acting. It's a game that I believe was initially built for the PlayStation 3, so visually it's a little bit dated. And you are embarking on this gigantic, almost daunting franchise. Judgment, on the other hand, you've got two games, Judgment and Lost Judgment, which I think is criminal, but that's another story. And Judgment itself is an awesome contained story, and it's got English voice acting. The English voice acting is great, the visuals are great, and it's got that great beat-em-up gameplay. Really had a great time with it, and narratively, I think it's like one of the 3 best RGG games that have been put out. Infinite Wealth definitely in the mix, Yakuza 0 definitely in the mix, but Judgment is fantastic, and I would strongly recommend it. Great main theme song as well, can't go wrong with that track. I would recommend just get the PS5 version for $9.99. This also recently just got pulled from PlayStation Plus Extra, so good timing as far as it going on sale. Again, $9.99 for that. Always going to be a good pickup. Detroit Become Human, 50% off for $9.99. This is available in PlayStation Plus Extra. I feel like thematically, a lot of people are going to get engaged in this game. Engaged with this game, I should say. Given where people kind of look at the future going and things like that, I don't think the world's going to become Detroit, but it's a very, very compelling game, and the setting is fantastic. Obviously, it's a Quantic Dream game, so very much tied to decision-making, and I always recommend, with Quantic Dream titles, and really for any narrative-driven, choice-based game, is to go into the game and play through it blind, and then go look up a guide or whatever, do the other decisions and everything like that down the line. But I feel like these games are enjoyed the most when you have consequences attached to the decision making, and Detroit's a great, great game. Visually looks great, narratively fantastic, characters are great, and yeah, definitely a good out by Quantic Dream. Hopefully Quantic Dream will get that Star Wars game out in this lifetime, but yeah, I don't know how that's shaking out. Next up, we got A Way Out, 80% off for $5.99. Hazelight about to drop another game. They just revealed it. Split Fiction? Yeah, I think it's Split Fiction. But Way Out was their kind of coming out party as far as this style of co-op game development, and they really craft I want to say a niche for themselves, but these games have sold incredibly well that I don't really think you can say it's a niche anymore. $5.99 for A Way Out is great. It's a game that you can complete over a weekend, but the narrative's great, characters are great, plot twists are great. Story's just really, really well done, and gameplay solid as well. $6 for A Way Out, definitely a good pickup there. Unfortunate for the people that don't have friends, but it is what it is as far as that's concerned. $5.99 for that is great. Persona 4 Golden, 50% off for $9.99. Great deal for Persona 4, and when you talk about Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5, really, you could go with any one of those titles. I know a lot of people that are fiends for the Persona games, and it seems like everybody has a different opinion. I personally hear Persona 3 the most, but again, I hear Persona 4 and 5 enough from people that I guess it's more of a case of how you vibe with the characters and everything like that. But yeah, Persona 4 Golden is fantastic. The soundtrack is tremendous. I'll Face Myself. Yes, it's a super corny answer, but I'll Face Myself is one of the goated JRPG battle tracks, and yeah, soundtrack in general is great. The cast of characters is great. $9.99, definitely a good pickup there at that price point. Next up, another great JRPG, an underrated one. Valkyria Chronicles 4 Complete Edition is 80% off for $9.99. I think Valkyria Chronicles 4 is criminally underrated. I think Valkyria Chronicles as a franchise is criminally underrated. It's a really, really well done tactical JRPG series, and I get it that when you look at JRPGs, usually the ones that are really beloved are the ones that are turn-based, the ones that are more action-oriented. Valkyria Chronicles 4 being more tactics-oriented. I see some people getting pushed away from the gameplay style, but man, it's done so well. Narratively, it's really well done, and honestly, if you want to talk about a JRPG that's like accessible to an audience that's not super into JRPGs, I wouldn't say Valkyria Chronicles is a bad one, because it's got a likable cast of characters. It doesn't really lean too much on, like, Japanese RPGs tropes, and the story is just a well-done war story. I just thought it was a really well-done game. $9.99, definitely a good pickup. You get the DLC here as well, so definitely a solid shout there. For you horror game fans out there, Amnesia the Bunker, 65% off for $8.74. Not a crazy Amnesia guy, like when it comes to Frictional, more of a Soma fan, like that is my favorite game that they've done, but Amnesia the Bunker, from an atmosphere standpoint, and we always talk about how with a horror game, atmosphere and that tension is the most important element, they home run knocked it out of the park with Amnesia the Bunker. It is just so well done. Left all alone in a desolate World War I bunker with only one bullet remaining in a barrel. It's up to you to face the oppressing terrors in the dark, keep the lights on at all costs, preserve, and make your way out alive. Again, the tension is great, and the atmosphere is phenomenal. For some people, you know, that's not their cup of tea, but if that's up your alley, you're gonna really enjoy Amnesia the Bunker, and for this price point, $8.74, I think it's a solid shout. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, 60% off for $7.99. Growing up, Chrono Cross wasn't a JRPG that I really gravitated towards. The box art of Chrono Cross growing up, though, that is so, like, embedded into my memory. I want to say one of my friends, like, when I was super young, had a copy of Chrono Cross, and I must have played it for, like, a little bit, but I remember not enjoying it when I initially played it. Then I played it years after that, and then Radical Dreamers came out, and it was nice to get this game because it is so iconic on modern platforms. It's a good upgraded release, and you've got 3D models converted to HD, refined character illustrations, higher quality background music, a switch enemy encounters on or off, background filter feature, battle and enhancement features to make combat easier, auto battle function, and switch between imitation pixel font and HD font, and change screen resolution as well. All that in the Radical Dreamers Edition, and it's already a JRPG that is so beloved that, you know, you're getting this for $7.99. Definitely a good shout for you JRPG fans out there, and a good price point at that. Darksiders Genesis, $7.99, the forgotten Darksiders game, but a well-done action RPG as well. This game was actually done by, I believe, Airship Syndicate, and that is the same, those are the same people that brought Battle Chasers Night War and Ruined King, the League of Legends story, and I loved Ruined King. Now, Darksiders Genesis is more of a hack-and-slash action RPG. It gives players their first look into the world of Darksiders before the events of the original game. Don't expect something, you know, akin to Darksiders 1, but a well-done game nonetheless, and if you're into the Darksiders world, you're gonna enjoy it a little bit more. But even if you have no affinity towards Darksiders, if you just want a solid action RPG, not a bad shout there either. Next up, Prey Digital Deluxe Edition, 80% off for $7.99. Often talk incredibly highly about Prey because it deserves to be talked about incredibly highly. It's one of the most underrated video games, I often say, of 2017. I think we can shift that to one of the most underrated video games of all time, given that Arcane Austin has now been shut down and we probably won't ever see a sequel for this game, although, you know, ever is a long time. We've seen some crazy sequels come to fruition. I mean, Psychonauts 2, I don't know how many people were convinced that would happen, so maybe, you know, some point in 2052, they'll just decide somebody has the Prey IP and they'll just be like, alright, let's do the sequel. But, yeah, it's tremendous from an atmosphere standpoint. Incredibly compelling. Narrative is incredibly compelling, and the game design is so well done. Just, again, criminally underrated. You've got the Moon Crash DLC in here as well as Typhon Hunter for a $7.99. Definitely a good pickup, and one of those games that I'll often recommend. And we're coming up on a decade since Prey came out. That's wild to think about. It's been almost 8 years, but yeah, just a criminally underrated game. Vampyrs, 80% off for $7.99. I don't think this game is criminally underrated, but I do think it's kind of underrated. I actually remember leading up to the release of Vampyr and just looking at the game, I remember thinking it looked like absolute jank, and for some reason, like, bro, I don't even know why. Sometimes things just possess me that I spend $50 on games for like no apparent reason, or $60 I believe in the case of Vampyr. It's like very much in the murdered soul suspect category, which for like some forsaken reason I spend full price on these games. But Vampyr was one I paid full price for, and I ended up really enjoying it. The game absolutely had its shortcomings. The combat, like I said, very, very janky, but ultimately, I thought the game was really, really well done from an atmosphere and a narrative standpoint, and it was done by Don't Nod, so, you know, narratively, I thought they knocked it out of the park until the ending. I thought the ending was kind of jank, but, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the game. Voice acting was well done, main character was pretty compelling. For $7.99, I do think this is a good pickup, and, yeah, I would say check it out. Just expect something more in line with, like, AA action RPGs, not like a AAA action RPG, and I think you'll end up enjoying it quite a lot. I got a bunch of tactics titles here, so let's go over all of these. XCOM 2 The Collection, 90% off for $9.99. I often recommend XCOM 2 The Collection. It's a tremendous tactics title that, unfortunately, you know, it would be nice to get a legit PS5 upgrade for it, because the technical shortcomings of this game are, you know, it's the element that holds it back, absolutely. But rewarding tactics game can be fairly challenging, but again, very rewarding. You got the War of the Chosen expansion here. You got a bunch of DLC packs on top of that, and again, tactics games aren't really my cup of tea all the times, but XCOM Enemy Unknown is the one that really drew me in, and XCOM 2 I thought was a decent jump up from that game, but yeah, the technical shortcomings do hold it back a little bit. Desperados 3, the digital deluxe edition, 80% off for $9.99. Done by Mimimi Games, the same people that brought you Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun, and they did Shadow Gambit The Cursed Crew, which I gotta play Shadow Gambit The Cursed Crew, more of it. But Desperados 3, you got that Wild West setting that y'all know I'm a big fan of. Well done tactics gameplay, and just a well done game throughout. The digital deluxe edition gets you the season pass content as well, and for $9.99, if you like Shadow Tactics Blades of Shogun, or you like tactics games, or you really like the Wild West setting, this is a really good pickup. And one that I think you'll end up enjoying for $9.99 again. Great pickup there. And then Wasteland 3 Colorado Collection. This price point is kind of nutty. 80% off for $9.99. This collection's actually on sale on PC right now, and it's like $20 and change, I believe. But it's $9.99 on PlayStation 5. You get the Wasteland 3 tactical RPG. You get the Battle of Steeltown. You get Cult of the Holy Detonation, and the Colorado Survival Gear. All that content for this price point, really, really well done. This is very much a throwback classic RPG akin to the old school Fallout games. Story is pretty well done, and it is a little bit janky and buggy, so just keep that in mind. And from everything I've heard, they haven't done a great job of patching it either, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But for $9.99, I think it's a pretty good shout if you like your throwback RPG, so another one to check out there. And value-wise, with all the content you're getting, I think that's a pretty good pickup. Speaking of value and content, Star Ocean title, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, which is a PS2 and PS4 game, is $6.29, and Star Ocean The Last Hope 4K and Full HD Remaster is $6.29. Star Ocean honestly might be one of those franchises that gets benched for a while, because it's a fine series of games, but the last two Star Ocean games have been, I like Divine Force, but for Integrity and Faithlessness, quite possibly the worst name for a JRPG ever, and we've had some bad names. That game was horrendous, but Star Ocean 3, Star Ocean 4, those were both pretty good games, and Star Ocean 3 is Till the End of Time, Star Ocean 4 is The Last Hope. Last Hope has some of the worst voice acting of all time, but overall the story's actually fairly decent, and I thought the characters were kind of likable. Star Ocean 3 is a super, super lengthy game, and, you know, very much a throwback JRPG of a different era, but enjoyable nonetheless. If you want a JRPG from a different time, I think you'll end up having a good time with it. I just remember that game being just a little bit ridiculously long. I remember Till the End of Time and Rogue Galaxy. Those were two games I was just like, bro, these games gotta end at some point. But yeah, Till the End of Time for $6.29 and Last Hope for $6.29 as well. Two JRPGs that are certainly quite a bit dated, but still decent pickups nonetheless. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $10. Check them out. Links to all of them in the description box below. As always, that's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.